Hello, this is wmpyr. Here to talk about something, a trend that I've noticed recently on YouTube, in the YouTube martial arts world. And that is, I feel like a lot of people are looking for techniques. This for the longest time, people are into techniques. Techniques are so cool. People collect techniques. And then there's also, someone would come out and show something like Bruce Lee's inch punch, and you see that and you go, wow, I want that, I want to learn how to do that kind of thing. Or you could see someone like Miracle Crocop, who has an amazing left high kick. How amazing! It's so amazing that if he kicks you with that thing, and if you watch him versus Vanderlei Silva, it was the rematch in Pride, he actually cuts Vanderlei on the head with that kick. Yes, his bare foot cut the guy, meaning that the kick is like a whip that he can cut flesh. It's like a freaking bladed weapon. That's insane amount of skill. The reality is you could train all your life and you'll never be able to do stuff like that. There are people like, I don't know how much of this is true, but the founder of Kyokushin Karate, Maso Oyama, was able to break a glass bottle, right, with a chop. Yeah, I believe that if you train like crazy, some people, very few people can actually pull that off. Or the guys that you see like from Okinawa karate, very high ranking karate experts, that they're able to break a baseball bat with their forearm, right? There's people that can do that. You and I, normal people, can train this all our lives and we may never be able to do it. Now, does that mean you should stop training? No, no, please, definitely. You should train and try to be the best that you can. But pursuing just that kind of thing, to me, is not what martial arts is about, okay? And that's like just looking for a superpower, you know? And it's kind of like you're just going for the shortcut. And the reality is, I believe there is no shortcut in martial arts. So that is, to me, the wrong direction to go. If that attracts you and gets you started in martial arts, sure, that's fine. But to be in martial arts for 5, 10 years and you're pursuing that, I don't think is necessarily the right thing to do. Okay, that if it comes, great. If it doesn't, it's okay, because that shouldn't be the main focus. All right, it shouldn't be that selfish of a thing. It might be hard for some people to understand that that is selfish, but it's very selfish. It's just kind of like it's egocentric, to put it simply. But my main focus of this video is to say that, okay, rather than collecting techniques, to me, much more effective for self-defense or for sport, or whatever, is actually to develop a system. So rather than collecting techniques, create a system. I feel that the system always, not always, but because there's no guarantee, but the system is superior way to go about things. Okay, develop a system. What do I mean by that? Okay, so like when you look at the early Ultimate Fighting Championship, championships, the UFC, right? To me, the biggest difference between why Gracie was so successful, and yes, I know it was, the tournament and all that was designed to promote Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. I get all that, but you can't deny that it was very, very successful against some very menacing opponents. And you can say all the smack that you want, and they're not at the level of today or whatever. If you had a time machine and you went back, could you beat those guys? And I bet most people cannot. All right. But anyway, if you look back on it, to me, the reason why Royce Gracie was so successful back then was he had a system versus the other guys did not. The closest to having a system to me was Ken Shamrock. Ken Shamrock had the closest, but it was still not as complete as the Gracies. Okay, and so just that alone you have a big difference, a big advantage for the gracies. Move-wise, it's not the techniques, because a rear naked choke, a guillotine choke, armbar, all that kind of stuff. Judo guys knew it. Martial arts people knew how to do a rear naked choke, arm bars. We've seen it. There was nothing new necessarily in the martial arts world as far as techniques go. The Gracies didn't bring anything new technique-wise, but system-wise, yes. And so really think about that. It's not the technique. That's not. I knew the rear naked choke, but not at the level of like a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. But I had seen the rear naked chokes many times. I learned it in martial arts, and I had seen it and I had known about it and all that. You've seen it in professional wrestling for, forever. So there's nothing new about that. In judo, people used it too, but it's just the system is what made the technique work. The system is what made the technique effective. And why did the Gracies have a system and the other fighters didn't? Was that it was simple, because in Brazil, they had been doing those kinds of events, NHB, no holds barred events, which was called Vale Tudo. They'd been doing it for 65 years. So they already had the experience. They knew exactly what to expect in those kinds of fights. They knew how to prepare for it. What to do between matches. They knew everything. Whereas to the American fighters at the time, not everyone was American in the early UFCs, but all the other fighters that didn't come from Brazil at the time, they had no idea what to expect. In fact, if you listen to the first interview with Ken Shamrock, he didn't even know if this was going to be a real event. He was expecting them to just come and say to him, at the end, we want you to just, let the guy beat you. Like, he was expecting it to be a worked match, like in professional wrestling. He was expecting that. So he's at that mindset. And the other fighters too. I mean, Taylor Tooley was saying that he was like, I'm just going to grab guys and throw them out of the octagon. I'm going to throw them over the cage. He doesn't know if that's effective or not effective. You throw them out, they come right back in. I mean, who knows? But he was like, I don't know. I'm just going to do that. Is that legal? Can I do that? He asked that to, I believe, the promoter, Art Davey or John McCarthy. He actually asked that, Actually, I don't know if Big John McCarthy was in the first UFC. But anyway, that is the level that they were at. They had no idea what to expect, how they should fight, how their style is going to work in this kind of free, limited rules, almost no rules kind of fighting. They had no idea what it was going to look like. They're like, it's a street fight, but I'm a professional kickboxer. How is this going to look? I don't know. Whereas the guys from Brazil knew because they had seen it. They had done it already. They had, many matches they have already done it. So by that time they had a system. They knew what to expect. So they go, okay, when this happens, you're going to do this. With this, they had the answers to everything. Versus people over here that they had no idea what they were getting into. So the system is so important for me in the Filipino martial arts. What is my system? Once again, the techniques is not, to me, the main thing. Okay, techniques, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they come into play, sometimes they don't. So techniques are just techniques. But the system of knowing how you're going to handle the situation, what direction you want to go, this is super important. And for me, that is the 4 ranges of combat. And that's why knowing each range, what the characteristics of each range is, and how they're connected to the other ranges, super important. So that is my point for today, and my recommendation is for you guys to try to shift your focus. Technique study is great, for sure. It's great. But it shouldn't be the main thing. At the end of the day, developing a system is far more important than collecting a bunch of techniques. So that's it for now. Thank you for listening, and take care, folks.